Welcome back to A Celtic State of Mind. I'm Paul John Dykes, and tonight I'm delighted to be joined by Lawrence Conley, where we've seen Celtic progress through to the quarter-finals of the Scottish Cup, virtue of a 4-1 victory against St Mirren. Lawrence, unless you scored in the last minute and I missed it. I tell you what...
Bell, you did.
I did?
5-1, yeah.
5-1, you're joking?
No, that's a peach as well.
Well, talk us through that fifth goal. That's where we're going to start tonight.
Bottom corner, ball played down in the box, he steps onto it, puts it in the top right-hand corner. Cracking goal. Yeah.
Celtic for me, Lawrence, were up against a side in St Mirren who, managed by Stephen Robinson, if you ask me, are one of the most difficult teams to play against. I think that when you look at what we've come up against as manager in Motherwell and now with regards to his team at St Mirren, up until a certain point in that game, they were in the game, they were giving Celtic something to think about. It was certainly not, for me, it didn't look like a 5-1, but there was two massive turning points in that game. The first one was the substitutions, and then the second one was the sending off. But then, obviously, Celtic have gone into another gear and onto another level. And that's what we were talking about, both at halftime and in the pre-match, whereby we've got enough quality on that bench where you can make the change, Lawrence.
Yeah, definitely. But I think the first point in St Mirren, it wasn't everyone behind the ball. You know, he gets a good balance, Stephen Robinson, doesn't he? And giving us a bit of a worry that we might get caught at the back, as well as being, in our faces, being physical. And a lot of players, it didn't make it comfortable for them to play. They weren't going to stand back and watch us. So, was it a 5-1 game? You wouldn't have thought there was 4 goals of a difference. Was there a lot of credit goes to St Mirren? But as you say, the boys that come off the bench, they kind of stood up, especially Hatate and O'Reilly, saying, you know what, start me next week. Look what I'm giving you.
I'm just watching the fifth goal, Lawrence. There we go. I think that one of the biggest talking points is going to be the players that obviously came on to try and reclaim their jerseys. One of them being the scorer of a brace, Rio Hatate. But also Matt O'Reilly, because Matt O'Reilly's been given, I think, over the last few weeks, a wee bit of leeway in that Moy has performed so well that it was a combination of different factors. O'Reilly wasn't on it, but Moy was, and he gets the jersey. O'Reilly comes in tonight, and I think straight away, first thing he showed was a willingness to do the defensive duties, which he'd done so well when McGregor was out injured earlier this season, Lawrence. And I think he started building his kind of momentum from there, and then obviously he gets his first goal of the season. And it was a tremendous finish as well. But there's so much to talk about. I mean, with regards to the selection, it's easy to look back and say, well, Hatate should have started or O'Reilly should have started. We weren't really saying that at the beginning of the game, though, were we?
No, listen, we were happy to see Turnbull get his chance. We all know he's got potential, but he needs to start to learn on a regular basis. He's got some goals coming off the bench. You understand that, it's against players that are tired then. Maybe you could say that for O'Reilly and Hatate today, but we're interested to see what he would do from the start. Was he going to make the jersey his own?
Yeah.
I don't think he's done his cause any good with that performance today, has he? He's not stood out in a bad way. He just didn't really seem to do anything. Which, if you're not doing anything on the park, why are you there?
There's two different. There's a combination here. You've got the fact that Turnbull didn't have his best game, but then the replacement comes on and makes an impact. And I think that both of these things are working against you. I think it worked against O'Reilly to a degree, the fact that Moy was playing so well. So it was a combination of that and his own performances is why he dropped out the side. But I think, the substitutions, as I say, was a massive game-changing moment. Often it's easy for us to just talk about the second half on the post-match, Lawrence, because we've already done our chatting at half-time. But in terms of the first half, let's talk about the first half. First of all, the 3 main points is a goal for me. Obviously, the Turnbull performance after us talking him up for weeks on end, and also the positive performance of Cameron Carter-Vickers, who throughout tonight's game was outstanding. And that'll be easily forgotten because it was a 5-1, looks like you've won on a canter. But when St Mirren were putting us under pressure and turning the screw and creating their own chances, it was Carter-Vickers who was the rock at the back for us.
that block in the first half, Joe would have done well to save that shot. So, would it turn it to 1-1? Would there be nerves in the team? Hopefully not, because there's great belief in this team. Let's be honest. It's a trademark with them. They know they'll get chances. They know they'll score. So, but yeah, Carter Vickers, great at the back. I thought Johnson had a good game today as well.
He did. He did.
A lot of ground, put a few good balls in. But we know our fitness is generally better than other teams. We have the ball more. We expect him to tire. Is it any surprise? The last 15 minutes of the match, that's when we get 4 goals. But yeah, first half they were very much in it. But Robinson does seem to have a good balance for these teams, doesn't he? It's not just defend well. He doesn't pack it. He gives us something to think about the other end as well.
No, he does. He does because
listen, it was a good watch, even for a neutral like me.
I'm just checking the Aberdeen manager odds because I think he's been mentioned in dispatches, isn't he? Robinson. So I don't know if he would be a popular choice or not.
How long's he been at St Mirren now, mate?
Well, I'd need to check when he's come in, but since he's came in, he's stabilised St Mirren. I mean, what he did at Motherwell. He took Motherwell to 2 cup finals against us. So he can work wonders on a budget. He has a certain style, and I think that tonight I'm not interested generally in giving plaudits to the opposition, but they gave Celtic a real game tonight. I'm not saying they gave us a fright; they gave us a game up until the point of us going 2-0 up with Hatate's penalty and the sending off. At that stage.
We faced this season, Would you say?
I would say.
I think it was an even tougher game when they beat us 2-0. When I think the 2-0 was a lot down to our failings and not so much their play that day. But today, I think there was a particularly tough game for us.
It was, and then obviously what happens with these teams is their manager attracts attention, and obviously he's been quoted in terms of Aberdeen. So we'll see what happens with that.
In terms of Leeds. No. We have a look at Robinson.
No, I don't think Leeds were looking at anybody, mate. Obviously, newspaper narrative. Stephen Sloan, VAR is a joke. 5 minutes it took to give us a penalty when I could see straight away it was clear as day penalty. I thought it was as clear as day penalty as well, Stephen. We spoke about VAR at half time, and yeah, it's not getting any better. That's the frustration. We're going to start off in 18th minute, 1-0. Maeda gets the goal. That was following an injury to our number one striker, 22-goal striker, Kyogo. You want to wrap him up in cotton wool, don't you? He's fallen, and it looks as though it's the way he's landed, but it was confirmed in that second half, Lawrence, that he was taken off and it was a precaution. So there's no severity to that as an injury.
Happy days. Well, at least all got a goal, mate, because you're worried if he gets injured, who's your striker, but all looked okay. Could have had a couple probably, but he's sharp. He's getting in the 6-yard box where we want our strikers to get. He's got his goal. He's off his start. It's good news Kyogo's not injured, but you know what? I've got another striker that scores goals, and Maeda certainly, he's shown us all that Liam was right. He can play through the middle. Was that striker, can't he? Maeda, he thought another cracking game from Maeda.
No, he did, and like you say, Liam's been telling us this all season, and I think he went to the World Cup and proved that he could play through the middle at a high level. And when called upon tonight, I thought he was excellent as well. Throughout the game, I thought Maeda was absolutely tremendous. We'll come back to him, but you're right. He was laid on by Haksabanovic, wasn't he? And he hit the side netting. But he looks to me, and it's hard to judge a player who I think has now had something like 40 minutes game time for Celtic over numerous substitute appearances. But I'll tell you what, he's a physical presence up top. We talk about the fact that, Giakoumakis gave us something different from Kyogo. I think is going to do the same, Lawrence. He seems to be very good at winning the ball back. His defensive qualities, which is something I know Ange likes in his offensive players, to be able to win the ball back. And seems to be doing that. Very strong upper body strength. And I just love the way he scores that goal. And it was almost like, right, there's a focus about him, Lawrence. You know what I mean? And I hope there's a ruthlessness in that 6-yard box about him as well.
Very instinctive. That's what you want. Peter Blood's box striker, looking for the scraps. You know, he knows when Gregor's hitting that, but he's on the move. He's looking for the keeper spilling it or knocking into the 6-yard box, and he gets his rewards. But he gave away a couple of fouls as well. So defensively, he does look a big boy and strong. He looks more mobile, I think, than Giakoumakis. He looks a bit quicker than Giakoumakis. So, yeah, great for him to get his goal. Could probably had another, but no, that'll come with time, won't it?
Well, I'm going to bring up a couple of different comments in relation to some of the points we've made. I think it will come in time. And even if, for example, Kyogo's taking off as a precaution, right? Will Ange look at that and say, well, it's maybe also an opportunity to rest Kyogo, not drop him. He's done nothing that would result in him being dropped, but to rest him as a starter, because I know that some people's predicted lineups tonight had O starting. It didn't happen. He came on though, and he got his first goal. Michael Ross points out that's just what O'Reilly needed. I think it was, you know. I really do. It's obviously the first goal that he scored this season. And you think about the season that he's had where he's had to switch positions. And in doing so, Lawrence, he was probably his own form and his own momentum probably shifted a bit, and he was trying to get a place in the Denmark squad. Didn't happen for him. And then he's lost his jersey at Celtic, and now he's trying to win it back. But we spoke at the beginning of the game. How do you win your jersey back? You do it by playing like O'Reilly did tonight.
Listen, you've got to perform when you get a chance. You get minutes on the pitch. O'Reilly, Hatate, both of them have given the manager something to think about. You know, Rio with a double, O'Reilly a classy goal. Moy and Turnbull both a wee bit off it today, I thought. So
Moy's passing wasn't his usual standard tonight.
He's a wee bit slack, yeah, on his passing. He wasn't finding as much space. A lot of that credit, you know, is down to St Mirren not giving him the space. But yeah, that's what you want that the boys coming off the bench doing, isn't it? Saying, play me. Mm-hmm. You know, play me. Not only good performances, but goals as well from your midfielders.
There's been a ruthlessness shown by Ange in various different ways since he came to Celtic, Lawrence. And I wonder if, you know, Turnbull, I think, did enough to get a start tonight. He did. You know, every time he was coming in, he was involved in either creating or scoring a goal. So he gets a jersey tonight. You wonder how he's going to react to that.
It's not ruthlessness. It's a clarity about what he wants. He's very clear what he wants for his players.
I think it's ruthless when you look at some of the managers we've had previously who have continually played the same player, even though there was a loss of form there.
Perhaps that's a weakness for them. But listen, Kyogo played through a loss of form, but Ange is very clear what he wants for his players. And if they're not delivering, not making the runs they want, or closing down, or tracking back, putting the effort in, it's not what I want. So somebody else that's going to give me that is back on. I think Ange is very hyper-focused on his style of football. And if you go on and you don't play the way he tells you to play, is it ruthless, mate? You know, you've been asked to do a job, you're not doing it. I'm not too sure. You know, he's very clear with these guys. This is what I want from you. If you do something else, well,
I'm going to pick you up on one point. I'm going to pick you up on 1 point, Lawrence. Right? You said that Kyogo had a loss of form. Now, David Slight is in the post-match press conference for Acsom tonight, and I just wonder if he was to bring that up, what Andrew's response would be, because he's already said he didn't have a loss of form. He's been performing well since he came to the club. But I know what you mean. There was a period of time there where you thought, "Oh, is Giakoumakis going to get a game?" Because Kyogo had a few games where he wasn't as good.
He wasn't getting the goals, but he was still making the runs. He was still doing what Ange was telling him to do. Maybe it wasn't from off him. He wasn't getting into the 6-yard box as quickly as Ange wanted. Dan said as much after the game. If you remember, I'm not players beginning at 6, because the amount of crosses we had across that 6-yard box that game was ridiculous. No one on the end of him. He certainly, he's picked it up. What is he, 18 and 19 games or something? I can't remember what he's this season. So, but he definitely did in terms of his return when he was on the park. Giakoumakis wasn't up to taking that starting jersey off him. Maybe it will be, or maybe even Maeda. Maybe Liam's going to be right, because as soon as he switched through the middle, ball across the 6-yard box, Maeda puts it away.
Mm-hmm.
Ball spilled in the 6-yard box, all puts it away. Well, sure, we've got that kind of, and that's what Andrew's wanting them about, isn't it? Getting me on the end of stuff.
Aye, definitely. When you've got wingers like Abada and Jota and the amount of balls coming in, Lawrence, and you see the way that all finished that tonight, and you think back even to the last time we went to Pittodrie and the amount of balls that went in that kind of position at that pace, and we weren't getting on the end of them. And Ange spoke of his frustration after that game that we weren't getting into the end of them because that's what we work on at training all week. If O's that guy, he's going to score a lot of goals for Celtic because we create so many of those chances.
Listen, I think he could be. He looks a lot more mobile than Giakoumakis for me. It looks like, if you want, Giakoumakis, I think he looks quicker and more mobile. Both of them look to the physical side to the game.
Mm-hmm.
But instinctive finishing, he knew where to be, didn't he? McGregor's hit a shot, where didn't he get in case this keeper spills it? He's there.
Yeah.
He's put it away. Unlucky not to get a second. But, yeah, all for me, yeah. I think he's already looking at upgrading Giakoumakis.
Nice, bold, early statement, Lawrence. By the way, that goal, obviously, the O scores. McGregor, great shot, nice controlled shot. We expect that from McGregor. But remember, that move, the player that breathed new life into that move was Hatate with a wee flick, wasn't it? Because up to that point, we're facing the corner flag, the move that had lost momentum. He does that, and that's it. They're back on the back foot. Ball's played to McGregor. He takes the shot. So Hatate was sensational when he came on. Ewan Boy Martin is coming in. Tough game it was, yeah. Credit to St Mirren, but in the end, a convincing win. Hatate showed why he is a top player. Yeah, without a doubt, he did. And I think that I've never really considered Hatate as not being a first pick, although I understand why he never got the last game or so in the starting 11. I would still say the strongest team, my strongest team at this moment in time, certainly would have Hatate in it every single week. Now, Marquis comes in to defend Turnbull, played well as any of our midfield in the first 60 minutes, reckons Mark. Was our best player in the second half until being subbed, just needs to run the games. I was watching him with interest, and I'm not sure I agree with the second half there, Mark, but, fair play for bringing up the point. I just think that come the selection for our game against Aberdeen, and I'll ask you the question, Lawrence, does Ange pick Turnbull from the start?
Well, listen, on Mark's point, he didn't play as well as McGregor. He probably played as well as Moy, but it's no surprise him and Moy get subbed.
Yep. The subs were spot on. Yeah.
Yeah. So, on our performance, I wouldn't be picking Turnbull from the start. Would Ange, up against Aberdeen, team that's struggling a bit? I don't think so. I think Hatate's got enough after that performance. It's whether Moy keeps his place. It might be back to McGregor, Rio on O'Reilly.
It's incredible to think that that as a midfield is so strong, so creative, and when they're all firing on all cylinders, you're going to win any midfield battle, right? But that would mean dropping Moy, who's been tremendous since he came back from the World Cup, and it seems a bit unfair, Lawrence. But that's a great dilemma for Ange to have.
You've got two boys midfielders come off the bench. One got a double, one got a single. Both playing really well.
Mm-hmm.
You've had, Moy and Turnbull, I thought, the obvious subs. It wasn't happening for them today, was it? So I could see O'Reilly and Rio keeping their places for the game against Aberdeen. It's up front. What happens? Hopefully Kyogo's not injured. If he is, do we start with O? No. Or Dyson? Both of them have shown they can play there.
You know this, right? I would start with O, and I'll explain my reasoning behind it. I don't think Jota's at the top of his game at the moment. Even tonight, I don't think he is at the top of his game. And I don't know how much of that was down to the fact that there was a few wee nibbles at him early on. But he wasn't at his best tonight. And I think that you could get away with having O through the middle with Maeda on the left. And then the question is...
Maeda gives you lots, doesn't he? He gives you a lot out in that left. Him and Taylor work well up and down there.
Mm-hmm.
So, I definitely like to, he's off his duck, he's got a goal. So I'd be starting both through the middle. I think he's going to have a lot of goals. I think already he's looking at upgrading Giakoumakis.
God, that's twice you've said that now. By the way, Lawrence, we'll come back to this, I'm sure, in the coming months. Really keen to get your thoughts on tonight's performance. Rob Piemonte. Wow, what a finish. Yeah, when I eventually seen it, Rob, it was a fine finish. I couldn't quite tell if Lawrence was winding me up, and I had to check it for myself. I was so keen to get the live stream going at full time. Cooking with Chef Dai, Rio Atati made the difference. I think the Rio particularly, but the substitutions, the timing of the substitutions, the personnel. I mean, Turnbull, Jota, and Moy, all three of them for me didn't have their best night. I'm not being negative. We've just won 5-1. We're into the quarterfinals of the Scottish, and then you bring in O'Reilly, and Hatate, and all three of those players make a contribution tonight, Lawrence. So I do agree, Hatate more so than the other two, but the substitutions were tremendous. They were brilliant. Great decision by Ange.
Totally. Listen, St Mirren had put a lot into it by that time. The players were tired, so maybe it was a bit easier for them, but they've still got to take their chance when they come off that bench. They've still got to deliver. All three of them did. When was the last time we made 3 subs and all 3 scored?
Good question. Very good question. Somebody in the comments may be able to tell us that. Ange on his way to Leeds, no chance. Absolutely no chance. This might actually be a Leeds United fan going by the name. No, he's not going to Leeds. He's got business to tend to here in Glasgow. And respect to your club, and obviously the big battle of Britain back in 1970 between Celtic and Leeds United and all of that. But no, he's not going to Leeds, certainly not. Paul O'Brien, harsh on St Mirren. Paul feels 5-1 scoreline, harsh on St Mirren. The sending off, that was the best performance. Prior to the sending off, that was the best performance against us domestically. Would you agree with that, Paul? I think, Lawrence, you were already saying that. Do you agree with Paul?
Yeah. Even over the 5-1, I think, 5's is harsh on them. But even that, I think they played better today than they did when they beat us. I think they gave us more to think about. I think when they beat us, a lot of that, we were just really off that day. You get a dubious score. Don't think the second should have stood. But today it was a real challenge. And, away from home, definitely the best we've faced at Celtic Park. Yeah, it was a tough performance from them. Yeah, but, the team were able to see them off. But 5-1, it's a bit harsh on them. The sending off, the only thing about that is, right, within seconds you see it hits his hand. So what's the VAR ref doing? Right, it's hit his hand. It's now subjective. He'll call the referee over. The ref didn't get called over for about 4 minutes.
I know.
What's he doing for the rest of the time? Within 30 seconds, you've seen that hits his hand. You need to now shout the ref over because it's subjective and the ref makes a decision.
It's the initial delay. Yeah, the initial delay was unacceptable. And then, of course, when he goes to look at the monitor, the pressure's then building on the ref. I don't know. Sometimes I get the feeling that some of the refs, that's a wee ego kick for them. They love being the centre of attention.
Well, the VAR ref and the ref have been through the same training, rules of the game and all that, the same grade, yeah? Mm-hmm. So the ref could decide within 15 seconds it was a penalty after viewing it.
Yeah.
But it took the VAR ref 4.5 minutes to decide it might have been a penalty. You know what I mean? You're kind of going, how can the ref make a decision so quickly when it's taking you 4.5 minutes?
I know.
It's just nuts.
And by the way, I did see the VAR banner in full. So thanks to anybody who's sharing that with us, but I did see it, which is tremendous. Danielle comes in now. Danielle is very balanced, comments on the stream on a regular basis. Welcome to the show you're watching on YouTube. I'm sorry for Turnbull. He's nowhere near good enough, thinks Danielle, for this team. Hatate and O'Reilly, amazing second half. Maida and Carter Vickers, incredible. I think what it comes down to is, as we sit right now, Lawrence, Turnbull's not on my starting 11. Generally, he's not on my starting 11 in terms of the strongest side. However, with his age, with what he has done, even in the last few weeks, not so much tonight, I still don't want to write him off. I don't think that it's a case of he's not good enough for Celtic. He's not good enough right now to get into that starting lineup consistently, for sure. I do agree with that. But I wouldn't be looking to moving him on, because I think, if you bring in a player of that quality, he's going to be very hard to find. Yes, O'Reilly was back to the O'Reilly that we fell in love with. And I think Hatate is just sensational. He is one of the players in that team who very, very soon is going to be very much sought after. all across Europe, I would suggest. But Turnbull, I don't kind of regard in the same kind of ballpark as those two players on the top of their game. But recently, Turnbull had been playing pretty well, and he deserved his jersey of the night. What's your take on it? I would still keep him, Lawrence. I just don't think he's a first pick right now.
He's got 3.5 months to decide whether we're keeping him, mate. That's what it is. Because see if you keep him just going, he's got potential. He could do, might not do. It's a blocker in the squad for somebody else coming through. Somebody else could be getting that chance in the midfield.
Who else? Who else do we say that about in the squad who's out on loan right now? Mikey Johnson. We're constantly saying that about Mike. Same age.
Michael probably
saying that about him.
We've made the decision, and Mikey Orange's made. I think he's made the decision. He'll probably be moved on, and that's what Turnbull's looking at in the next 3.5 months. If I don't turn it on here, I think Celtic will be looking to cash in on him and say, you know what, it's just not working out. You're close, but you're not close enough because, as you pointed out, there's two other boys, O'Reilly and Hatate, who are far outshining him.
Yeah.
So are we going to keep him as third choice to those two?
I don't think he'd want to stay as third choice.
And who else is coming through then? How's your team evolving? Are you keeping all three? And I think, he's getting closer to the door, mate, if he keeps putting performances in like that.
Oh, I was talking about ruthlessness earlier on. Now Lawrence is getting ruthless. Lawrence and Danielle are getting all ruthless on David Turnbull. Pat Maguire, welcome back to the show, Pat. Some hit from Hatate. The boy he's a technician. Real Hatate, unbelievable player. Patrick James Simpson, performance after they went down to 10. Good. Starfelt penalty tackle we have seen before. I knew that would come up. I knew because it was another one of those kind of clumsy Starfelt moments. I don't think Starfelt had a bad game tonight, though, Lawrence.
He didn't. Listen, the boys come in blindside him. Seen better defenders than Starfelt call it that, mate. You'll often see players come in blindside a defender and it's a penalty. Didn't cost us anything. He didn't have a bad game. He's not going to be faultless, though, is he? I thought he was decent enough. St. Mon boy, big delay for the penalty. That's the thing. The refs tell him hard to get back in the goal line, get ready for the penalty. The screen's still saying there's an offside check going on.
I know.
You're like, come on, ref.
Joe Hart loves that, though. He loves that, doesn't he? Because it was, remember at Ibrox when there was like broken glass in the goal mouth, and it was just like, no, I'm taking control of the situation. And he actually dominated the referee on both occasions. He was going to pull the Celtic team off the park at Ibrox, and he was standing there saying they've not even made the VAR decision yet. I think Joe Hart can kind of handle himself in a situation like that when he knows all the cameras and that are on him. That's when the Joe Hart 75-time capped England goalkeeper comes on. You know what I mean? And I like that. I like that attitude. Joseph McGonigal, we showed why we are champions. Hatate was on fire. Yeah, he was tremendous. And by the way, Aero, you might not have noticed this or got the memo, mate, but we don't call players a Rolls Royce of a player because we've got Sicky Van Dijk getting called a Rolls Royce. You've got to come up with something a wee bit more inventive. But yeah,
not just Van Dijk. We used to call a certain midfielder that as well.
Yeah, we did. Rolls Royce of a player. Come up with something a wee bit more original. Aero 250, and thanks for getting involved. Michael Ross, lay off Turnbull. I think it's important for this comment to come up because it's easy for, I think, Starfelt and maybe Turnbull and previously Greg Taylor to become a boo boy, if you like, to become somebody that, he's a subject to your wrath game after game, Lawrence. And you've got to remember that. Turnbull was in tonight on merit. He just never played that well tonight, I don't think.
Well, pre-match we're saying we're really excited to see what he can do. If he deserves his chance. He's been scoring goals. Let's see what he can do when he gets a run. He didn't show why he's ahead of O'Reilly and Hatate today. Those two are the guys that done it on the park today. He didn't do it today, mate. It could maybe against Aberdeen he goes out, comes off the bench, scores a hat-trick, we'll say he's good. There's a couple of things at play with Turnbull. It's a crowded position. He's 18 or less than 18 months left in his contract. Decision's going to have to be made in 3.5 months, whether to offer him a new contract or whether to move him on.
Well, there's been bigger surprises in the past. I mean, remember, people were surprised when James A. Forrest got his new contract. But I think the difference with that...
Forrest was always getting a new contract.
I said at the time I'd have given him it. But I think the difference there is James Forrest is at a time in his career where he knows he's not playing every week. I think Turnbull wants to play every week. That's the big difference.
I think, for his benefit, he needs to go out and develop. Ange's given him his chance today. Didn't take it today. Previous few games he'd come off the bench and you'd say, yeah, he done well coming off the bench. He's got to the end of the season to prove he's worth a new contract. Whether Turnbull, you've said it, Turnbull needs to be happy as well, because he's maybe looking at O'Reilly and Hatate going, this is going to be hard to get in ahead of him.
Yeah.
And also, look, small matter, 50 million quid to spend and improve the team.
Yeah, there's a few quid. There's a few quid in the bank, yeah, for sure. I've got to say, it's been a very enjoyable night, actually. Saturday night football. You said at the beginning of the night, Lawrence, you weren't really up for it. Does that change your mind tonight?
No,
are you just going to sit and relax for the rest of the night?
Listen, it's good anytime Celtic are playing, but would it be my optimum time for the game? 5:30 on a Saturday evening?
Maybe we're just getting to that age, Lawrence. I think some of the young team will be quite happy to finish the game, go up the tune, have a few sherbets on the way down the road.
Well, you're thinking that with the game you speak 3 o'clock, you'd finish, you got to have a few into Tolbooth or McCool's, up to the Finnegan's Wake, then up to O'Neill's to 3 in the morning. So it's cutting down in the after game time. Of
let us know what you think in the comment section underneath the YouTube video if you haven't done so already. Get subscribing to that YouTube channel. About 45% of the people that tune in don't actually subscribe, and it is free. And you can click on the bell and it notifies you of new videos that are coming on the channel as well. We've always got competitions running as well. So a couple of VIP meet and greet tickets for the event at the Armadillo, where it's not been announced who's going to be there, but it's the Wim Jansen team of 1997-98. So there's some great names going to be there. Imagine meeting them. That would be fantastic. All you need to do is subscribe. If you want to come and see us with Alan Thompson, the ticket link is underneath as well, as are the charity ticket links that we continue to support all year round. Thanks everybody for supporting a Celtic State of Mind. I hope you have a fantastic Saturday night. All that's left for me to say is thank you to Lawrence Conley for joining me on a Celtic State of Mind.